Yeah, hey, I'm okay. My daughter's got COVID, so we're back in that again. So, well, I'm good. How are you doing? Piece of cake. No questions, no issues. It was just super easy. So, I don't anticipate anything crazy tonight. That's super cool.
Mountains and blue skies, big city skylines, built up by schemers, heavenly dreamers. Out on the highway, those endless white lights, chasing abandon, tempted my chances. I was heading nowhere, rolling along without one care. Till that one moment I saw you rolling the window down. You were singing, riding shotgun, hair flying in the wind, and that smile. I knew you were meant to be my one love. I follow anywhere over any million miles. Oceans and distance, paths of resistance came in between us. No rhyme or reason. Good evening and welcome to the regular Chandler City Council meeting of November 9th, 2023. Thank you all for joining us. I'd like to call or open our meeting, call it to order. Clerk, please take the roll.
Mayor Hartke,
Present.
Vice Mayor Orlando,
Here.
Councilmember Encinas,
Present.
Councilmember Ellis,
Present.
Councilmember Stewart,
Here.
Councilmember Harris,
Here.
Councilmember Poston.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, City Clerk. Our invocation will be brought forth tonight by Reverend Roy Cherylin. Is Reverend Cherylin here? Oh, there you are, sir. Welcome. And our Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Stewart.
In the book of Proverbs says, by the blessing of the upright, the city is exalted. I bless our Honorable Mayor Kevin Hudkey, the Vice Mayor, and all the city council members. I pray for the Chief of Police, the Fire Chief, and all the men and women in uniform who protect this great city of Chandler. We bless our schools, community colleges, and universities and students. I pray that the citizens of the city of Chandler will live in unity, harmony, and respecting and valuing each other. May I pray that new job markets will be open for this city so that our citizens will flourish. Also, I humbly pray for peace to be restored in the Middle East soon. I pray for this council meeting tonight and all the decisions that they make will glorify the living God. Lastly, I pray that as we celebrate Thanksgiving in the next couple of weeks, Let us help us to have a heart of thanksgiving and gratitude to the provider, protector, and the peacemaker. We are grateful, O my Lord. I pray all this in the matchless name of my Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that peaceful message, Pastor. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Council Member. Council, next on our agenda is our consent agenda. On Monday, we had robust conversations about a few of these items. I don't see any speaker cards related to our consent agenda. Unless someone would like to pull any of these to action, a motion would be in order.
Mayor,
Councilmember Harris.
yes, I would like to move to approve the consent agenda on November the 9th, regular meeting items 1 through 37.
I second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Harris, second by Councilmember Ellis. Any recusals? Seeing none, Council, please vote.
Vice Mayor Orlando?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. We have one action item, which is I asked it to be on the action from consent on Monday, which is the introduction, tentative adoption of ordinance number 4992 to amend chapter 14 of City Code of Animals. So could we first have a presentation? That would be you, City Attorney.
Yes, Mayor, it would be. Thank you. Just a second here. So, Mayor, we are here to talk about some proposed updates to Chapter 14, particularly as they relate to animal cruelty, neglect, and the process for seizing animals that have been subjected to abuse and neglect. And I just want to remind the council, we're here to talk about amendments to our city code, not about particular cases. That is not on the agenda for discussion. So it would be a violation of the open meeting law, and plus this is not the appropriate forum for that. So we're here just to talk about the amendments to the city code. And to give the council a history of the timeline, these changes began several years ago. We started talking with the police department and law about how to improve our code to provide more clarity as to what constitutes animal abuse, what constitutes illegal hoarding of animals, what process we should use if animals are going to be taken from their owners. And those discussions began a number of years ago. In May of 2022, there was a hearing, and during that time, we realized that rather than use the state process for a seizure hearing, we probably should have our own processes here for the city of Chandler and the court. So the court was also very involved in many of these changes you're considering tonight. So in February 2023, we added more revisions as we learned more and defined which offenses would constitute enough for police officers to seize and impound animals that were subjected to cruel or neglectful care. So we continued to circulate those revisions and fine tune. And in August of this year, we provided that draft ordinance to City Manager's office for an initial review. So as far as outreach, obviously there are a number of interested organizations, and staff did send out the proposed changes to a number of organizations, some of which provided comments. Some of those comments were incorporated where appropriate. Also, the ordinance was posted on the city website for public comment, and the city did receive a number of comments. Those were reviewed, and again, where appropriate, comments were they'd already been incorporated into the draft or were incorporated into the draft. We did have a subcommittee meeting as well, and that was in September. was it September, October? I apologize. September, and we did present this to a subcommittee and got direction from the subcommittee. Those directions were also incorporated into the draft. So the reason we wanted to consider changes is really Chapter 14 does have outdated language. It was originally adopted back in the 1970s. It has not been updated a lot, except for very specific small changes. And it didn't provide a broad enough definition of animal cruelty. It did not adequately address the issue of animals seized for safekeeping purposes in non-cruelty cases, where we may find a dog abandoned or running the streets. It does not provide adequate regulations relating to the hoarding of animals in unsafe or unsanitary conditions. So this draft before you today provides direction on what is unlawful in those circumstances. And again, the post-seizure hearings were based on state law, which really did not conform to our current municipal court practices. So we put a process in place that the court is more comfortable following in the event we seize animals, and we have a hearing with the property or the animal owner to determine if those animals need to be taken permanently or returned to the owner. And we think this adequately addresses that process now. So what is the city's role when an animal is seized? Well, first of all, a police officer will provide notice to the owner of the seizure. We work closely with a contracted partner, the Humane Society, who provides transportation, housing, and care for the animals, as well as provides help for us to determine, is this a healthy animal? Is it being provided appropriate care and those sort of things. The officer then files proof of service with the court, and then the owner of the animal has the right to contest the seizure through a hearing process in the Chandler Municipal Court if they so choose to do so. But what is important to note about these cases is the police department is obligated to comply with the Constitution and with the laws of the state of Arizona. So what that means is the police department has to establish probable cause. That goes through an investigation. There is no right to go onto people's property unless we have a warrant or exigent circumstances justifying that type of response. The draft before you tonight does not change any of that. Those processes still have to be followed by the police department. Again, there's an investigation, probable cause, a warrant issued by a court, and then at that time, that gives the officer maybe the right to go on the property and evaluate the situation and determine if removal of the animals is appropriate and necessary for their safety. And obviously an owner can always consent to search. A lot of times we will talk to an owner, police will talk to an owner to say, hey, we've heard some complaints, can we come in? The owner has the right to say no, and the owner has the right to say yes. And depending on the circumstances, that may help us find more probable cause or may show us that there really is not a case to be concerned about. So, okay, under this, we have potential charges for different forms of abuse. Common cases of animal cruelty are designated Class 1 misdemeanors, which is a crime that is prosecuted in our city court. It is a crime that's punishable by up to 6 months in jail, a $2,500 fine, and 3 years probation. More serious cases of animal neglect and cruelty can rise to the level of Class 6 or Class 5 felonies. Those are defined by the Arizona state laws. We, on the local level, do not get to define felonies. That is a purview of our state legislature, and those cases are prosecuted by the Maricopa County Attorney's Office through the Superior Court. So as part of our due diligence in working on these revisions, we did review other cities' codes. We found 2 codes that have dedicated animal hoarding ordinances, and both of them set a minimum threshold, of 10 or more animals, and that's Marana and Phoenix. Other cities have similar regulations regulating how animals should be kept in safe and sanitary conditions, but they don't go to number of animals, and that's Scottsdale, Goodyear, Peoria, and Flagstaff. And then we looked at other codes regarding seizure of animals in cases associated with hoarding and looked at those provisions. And that would be Gilbert, Glendale, Surprise, Tempe, and Tucson. So the code revisions before you tonight do define what hoarding is considered. If somebody violates the law by hoarding animals, it is not based on a number of animals, it's based on circumstances. Is there adequate room for the animal to move around, to be able to um, have adequate food, adequate shelter, water, all of those things? Those are many factors that will be taken into account if we investigate a case of animal hoarding, but it won't be based on a number. So again, the changes more clearly define animal cruelty to include specific situations like failing to provide medical attention necessary to prevent unreasonable suffering. And that medical attention extends to medical treatment, medical devices that are necessary for the animals. That was a concern raised at the subcommittee, and we broadened that definition. Intentionally leaving an animal unattended in a motor vehicle, allowing any animal to interfere, kill, or cause physical injury to a service dog. And then we added the section on animal hoarding. And again, that looks to what are the circumstances those animals are being kept in. Are they abandoned? Is it unsafe, overcrowded, other inhumane conditions? Are they getting adequate care and treatment? Are they getting adequate water and necessary food? We added language on a section on unlawful restraint of dog to make sure that they have room to walk around, that the collar is properly fitted, that they're not in unsafe or unsanitary conditions. They're not in a situation that will cause injury to the dog, and they have adequate access to food, water, shade, and shelter. We also put in provisions regarding excessive heat, leaving an animal out in the sun in the summertime in Arizona can result in animal cruelty charges because we have excessive heat in the summer, and an animal outside without proper shelter in 100-degree weather can be very harmful and damaging. And then we updated the language on the authority to seize and impound animals that are subject to cruel situations. And again, we look at whether the officer has reasonable grounds to believe that prompt action is necessary or required to protect the health and safety of an animal, where they've established probable cause that there are cruel or neglectful situations. So, as I said, we went through the community safety subcommittee, took feedback in that situation, posted the ordinance, took feedback from the community. Tonight is the introduction. And if the council is in agreement, we'll bring this back in December for final adoption. And then ordinances go into effect 30 days after adoption. So this ordinance would be effective in January. And I'm happy to answer any questions council may have.
Council, we do have one speaker card that after we're done talking, we'll invite the speaker up related to this one item. Questions or comments related to this? Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. I served in the subcommittee to really strengthen the code. I'm very proud of the work that we did with that. You know, animal cruelty is a painful thing to know. I have two beautiful Yorkies, and you know, to know that people wouldn't take care of their precious animal, I have no clue why, but I'm kind of glad that we're addressing it. And thank you, Kelly, for bringing the recommended changes based on the research that's been done, comparing it to other cities and what they're doing. I think this is a great um, step forward to making sure that we're strengthening our laws as we are moving forward. Some of the things that I wanted just to, number one, is that addressing the animal cruelty, I'm definitely in alignment with the ordinance, but also just making sure that we do our basic amenities for our dogs, you know, because that's something that we're doing now. We're addressing what our dog parks look like. Also, making sure that our animals have that we're addressing, making sure that we have access to safe and clean water in areas in parks for our animals who is playing around in the park. Make sure you leash your dog when it's supposed to be leashed. And so we're working on that. And then also we're investing in the dog parks as an essential part of caring for the welfare of our animals in our community. And just these last few things, our recent upcoming dog park improvements will help with new water fountains order, which will be reseeded and turfed in the summer of 2024. That's at Cecil Vista Park. Also at Seneca, we're replacing the entry gate where new water fountains will be ordered and will reseeded. And then also just making sure that our animal, not just are we addressing this part, but I'm glad that we're addressing the park to making sure that when my babies go to the park, they have a nice water fountain and a nice clean area for them to have a good time. So I'm glad as a council we're addressing this, and also we're addressing it by making sure we're improving the amenities around the city with our animal park. So I'm glad that we're doing that together, and I just wanted to let you know that I support this ordinance, and I support it moving forward. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Additional comments or questions? Councilmember Ellis.
Question. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. The question that a couple of our community members have is the fact that we don't own a shelter where we can put our dogs in. When we capture these dogs, who we partner with to be able to house them and make sure that their welfare is important to us. Second question, go ahead and answer that one first, and then I'll ask you the next one.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Ellis, if I may. We contract with the Arizona Humane Society to help us when we have those animals where they will come transport and provide care, hold them through the court proceedings if necessary, and we pay for those services with the Humane Society. Sometimes these animals end up at Maricopa County Animal Shelter, depending on how they're picked up, but specifically our police department works closely with the Humane Society.
Second question is that we don't also have dog catchers. And so when someone called the police or something like that happened, how does that get managed through the police and then also through the community partners that we have to come and pick up those dogs and do everything? Let's say someone um, make a phone call in the middle of the night because they found dogs on their doorstep or in their backyard. What is the procedure and how do they address that?
If I may, Mayor, Councilmember Ellis, again, we can call out our partner, Humane Society. Maricopa County Animal Control has jurisdiction over throughout the county, and they are available if they have time. If they're available, I should say, they usually are. They can come out. We also have some very passionate officers in our police force who will often take the dogs and hold them temporarily until they can get with the Humane Society.
Last question. Oh, do we have some nonprofits here or people that have boots on the ground that are doing this kind of work that we partner with? Or is it always the Human Society or other big organization like such that you mentioned?
If I may, we have a contract directly with the Humane Society. As the law department, that's who we're familiar with. I don't know if there's other partners that we work with, but we work directly with the Humane Society.
Thank you, Mayor.
I heard Vice Mayor. You have questions or
Yes,
comments,
Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, Councilmember Ellis got my first answer. But what I do, and I appreciate staff and council's work on this, and I know we update the animal cruelty and hoarding, but there is some sections in 14-8 and 12 and a couple other ones that have ambiguous language. And as the city attorney said earlier, some of these things go back to 1990. I would like to ask staff to take a look at those and clean that language up as well. I don't want to hold this one up. That's for sure. I'm for this tonight, but there are some areas that we want to take a look at. So I'd ask staff take a look at those rest of that section 14 and clean up some of the language in there. Thank you.
Yeah, and I agree with Vice Mayor. I'd like to certainly move ahead with this, but I'm certainly willing to clean up anything else, and if there's other things that we would want to add in the near future. The beauty of our council is that we're able to meet and meet frequently to be able to address any future charter amendments necessary. So go ahead.
If I could add one clarifying, I do have a team out here helping me. After hours, we do have an emergency animal clinic that's also available to provide help with treatment and care of these animals.
Okay.
Mhm.
And again, I guess there's this in your mind and our police mind gives us the ability to address cruelty, hoarding, and mediate situations in a prompt response. Uh, Again, there's always more, always less that can be done, but this is a place that will give us some more tools in the toolbox to be able to address hoarding and cruelty from the city's perspective and to the best that we can at this point from your perspective, City Attorney.
Mayor, yes, and we have worked, as you know, the prosecution is in the law department, and we've worked closely with police, prosecution, and courts, who are the three departments that'll be mostly involved in these type of situations. And all three of us are very comfortable that this provides us a great set of tools to use in these type of cases. We also have a legal advisor that works in the law department. Ian is in the audience, as well as our city prosecutor, Elizabeth, who are available 24/7 to the police department to provide legal guidance when they encounter these sort of situations. And Mayor, if I can take a personal point of privilege, especially in light of the holiday coming up, I would like to, Ian White, our legal advisor, works in the law department. He is also in the Army Reserve and has recently been promoted to colonel.
Oh, congratulations. That's great. Boy, I had a question. I lost it.
So
I'm
sorry.
celebrating in the moment. It'll come back to me. Councilmember Stewart. Oh, Angel, I'm sorry. Councilmember Encinas.
Thank you, Mayor. Kelly, obviously we want to get these changes in order and correct and in line with everything. And a lot of it, you've done a lot of outreach. And I just kind of want to re-go through that outreach that we did, because we obviously want input from our animal communities and our residents, first and foremost. From the organizations that we reach out to, whether it's the agencies that we work with, or collaborate with, how many of them gave like a thumbs up that these changes are okay, or checked off on that?
I don't have an exact number. Many of them gave us that. I think pretty much everybody in the community agreed that these are very good changes. Some would like additional changes. Some wanted to go further, that quite frankly, from an enforcement perspective, we weren't quite comfortable doing that. But I think, talking to most of the community, this is a good step in the right direction. Unfortunately, in these type of things, you're not going to always go as far as everybody wants to go.
Got you. And then as far as our public outreach, that period, how long was that open, and how did we get that information out to everybody?
The ordinance was posted on the website right after the subcommittee on October 23rd, and it's been open. And you have comments that came in, I think, is even today. And again, those comments were reviewed by our office, by the police department, and where we felt they were good comments that could be incorporated, they were.
Got you, to get that input from everyone. One thing, as you brought up the subcommittee, which I was part of, we did bring in or suggested some language regarding special needs animals, whether it's equipment, tools, or something as far as that being in the realm of cruelty. Are we addressing that in this proposed changes?
We did, if I may, Mayor, we did. We didn't define it specifically as special needs equipment. What we said is they need the appropriate level of medical care and treatment to avoid unnecessary suffering. So if an animal needs a special piece of equipment so that they're not hurting themselves more, that would fall under that and could be prosecuted under that if somebody had a piece of equipment but wasn't using it for their animal.
Got you. So they'll be under that umbrella.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. That's all my questions, Mayor.
Great. I remembered my question. So, and then I think Councilmember Stewart next. So in talking with neighborhood services, I know we've also And with looking at comments, we've received comments related to chickens and trying and desiring to fold them in. We had a possible runaway sloth in our streets. We had backyard turkeys. We've had, so other forms of animals are related to cruelty. They're either covered elsewhere under their own separate areas, or like a sloth is an exotic animal and therefore not, it's not allowed anyway, much less allowed to be mistreated. But or does this give us, are there any other gaps that you were aware of that that we need to look at related to other species?
Mayor, under this ordinance, I believe that if any animal is being subjected to cruel treatment or abuse, we could prosecute under this.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the presentation. And, you know, I was leaving the house tonight and I looked at my little scroungy dog that's not supposed to be on the couch. She was on the couch. And I remind myself of like what innocent beings these are. And it's unfathomable to me that somebody could be cruel to an animal. And so I'm so grateful that you put this together so quickly in the subcommittee, working hand in hand with the animal rights groups, you know, the Humane Society, as well as our police department, pulling everything together to make this happen quickly so that our police department have the tools and the training to be able to help those that can't help themselves. So I'm just grateful for that. And I think moreover, as important as this is that during this entire process, we were mindful of the Fourth Amendment, the 14th Amendment, making sure that we're doing constitutionally protected or constitutional things when we're protecting these animals in this ordinance. And so I'm grateful for that, Kelly. So thanks very much. One of the things I would like to see, though, is more communication on the education piece, right? Allowing people to know what we're doing with this particular ordinance and why we did it necessarily. And then I want to thank the public. It would be, we can't ignore the outpouring of um, comments, I'll just call them comments, about this issue. But I'm grateful for it because it helped us snap to action and brought something to light that we may not have been aware of. So we appreciate that. But Kelly, thanks for all your hard work on this. That's all I have, Mayor. Thanks.
Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I should ditto what you just said because I was going to kind of thank everyone that worked on this project so quickly. Not only that, because we were talking about it earlier, but because of what's in view of what was happening in our community, we just really pushed that forward and pretty much make it a priority to arrive where we are tonight. And so I'm very grateful for that. Some dog owners and pet owners are going to sleep better because they know that we have this right now to protect their animals from cruelty. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Mayor.
Unless there's additional comments, we do have one speaker card who desires to speak on this. Terry Hoffman. So Terry, you have, if you'd state your name and address for the record, you have up to 3 minutes to share your thoughts. The green light will be on once you have 30 seconds left. Try to wrap up when the red comes on. If you could finish wrapping up your comments.
I'm getting comfortable because I want more than 3 minutes, but I'm just kidding. I know. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time. I appreciate all the hard work that you guys did, Kelly, and I appreciate the time that you spent with me on the phone. Animal rights activists have been very concerned with the laws and been speaking to the need for better laws. However, we were not really prepared and aware of the changes that were being made. We myself had a large event, PAC 911, who has their biggest fundraiser of the year, is happening this weekend, and just having a turnaround time where we go through these kinds of ordinances, they're very detailed, and it's important that all the definitions be there. I would love to address a lot of the questions that were presented by the council members because some of the information you guys might be shocked to hear. For example, medical equipment needs to be specified because law enforcement will not know that dragging themselves in urine and feces will cause urine scald, sorry, which is similar to a second-degree burn. It's very painful. And the sanitary habitable definitions that are lacking in this amendment are very essential. We cannot overlook, we cannot take for granted that police officers understand. And yes, I do greatly appreciate our Constitution and the Fourth Amendment rights that it affords us. However, how many people have ever seen the show Cops and the police pull somebody over and they say, they, sir, have you been drinking? I think I smell alcohol. Or prior to, marijuana being legalized, it was that. Now there's some other drugs that they can smell. So the sense of smell has long been used by law enforcement as probable cause for search, full search of every crevice and cranny of an automobile. It does not need to be in plain sight. So if an officer is hearing 50 dogs, just picking a number, uh, let's say 10 dogs barking, there's been neighbor complaints, and there's an odor that's detectable from the street. The law does require reasonable, and you do have the word a reasonable person, and I really appreciate that because we really need to have that in our training of law enforcement. Reasonable person would detect that there's need. Um, we do need to really look at all of the other laws, as you said, and it's just there's just 3 minutes is not going to give me enough time. But currently, right now, in the city of Chandler, stray dogs that are impounded can be sold to a medical research facility. This is an animal welfare nightmare. We need to hold up. We need to get rescues. There are over 600 rescues in our community. They weren't given opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Terry.
Okay, thank you.
And Terry, I think you'll agree that if, and city attorney, that we're more than willing to come back. And I don't know what a proper time, but I'd love more of your input at that. I do believe on council there's an urgency to at least go this far and then
I appreciate
continue.
that.
And I know
Yes,
you're in agreement with that. Am I correct?
absolutely. Just let us know when we can plan on coming back because we definitely do want to provide those protections for the animals. Um, May I just correct one thing? It's been kind of a bone of contention for me throughout our state. I'm the founder of Animal Rights Champions of Arizona. I'm currently working with legislators to increase the bar for the laws that protect our animals throughout the state. Currently, there is a trend for improving those protections. And to answer your question, council member, yes, you never see a dog wear a watch. But after 6 o'clock, Monday through Friday, there are no resources for animals. There just aren't.
Thank you, Terry. Councilmember Harris.
Yes, Kelly, um, what this ordinance doesn't address, does the state law address what this ordinance does not address?
If I may, Mayor, Councilmember Harris, there are different laws for the state, and there's some overlap. So I can't say the state law addresses things this ordinance doesn't address, but we can't define felonies. We can't, there's certain things the state can define that we don't have the ability. I'd also like to point out the animal shelter, the city does not run an animal shelter. And Maricopa County does. So I can assure the council that animals are not being given away or sold for medical research, either through Maricopa or the city. There is some archaic language in some of our older provisions of the code, and that was direction from Vice Mayor to look at that and update it. But I think that the changes to this ordinance, and again, we've worked closely with courts, with prosecution, with police to make sure that it provides tools that we can use to address situations where animals are not being treated appropriately.
And Mayor, one last thing. Is Kelly, is it appropriate that perhaps I know that on the chandleraz.gov/animals we have the link to the state charter, to the state constitution about animal cruelty and how that's defined. When we place this into movement, that we work with the other group, but is there a way that we can also place the state statute somewhere in a link somewhere near where this is going to be placed on our website for future references for those that may need to know?
Mayor, Councilmember Harris, yes, we can most definitely look at doing that.
And then this is my last question. This probably goes to Josh. Josh, if there's a way that we can also continue to work with our police department to make sure they're getting appropriate training as we introduce this ordinance to make sure they understand all these different complexities of what this actually means and the implications of it?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Harris, anytime a new ordinance is passed by the city council that would affect the police department's operations, we go through a training process with them to make sure everyone is well versed in the law, as well as working with our partners such as the Humane Society so they understand how the new system will work. So we'll do that in this case as well.
Okay, and it's continuous, right? It's continuous.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Poston.
Thank you, Mayor. My comment was related to what Councilmember Harris just said. And I know our police department prioritizes training, but I would like to just reiterate that there was a good point about maybe the medical devices or specific health issues related to animals. And I'd just like to make sure that that gets addressed as well as we move forward.
Well, Council, I'm going to make a motion. I'd like to move that we pass item number 38, the introduction and tentative adoption of ordinance number 4992, amend chapter 14 of the city code, animals.
I'd like to second that.
Second by Councilmember Stewart.
Third.
Third, fourth, fifth. Yeah. All right. Council, please vote.
Vice Mayor Orlando?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Very good. Thank you, Council. Thank you, community members. Smattering of applause. Next on our agenda tonight is we have two cards for unscheduled public appearances. First is Victor Hardy.
Pastor Victor Hardy, address 2220 East Spruce Drive, Chandler, Arizona 85286. As president of Chandler Men of Action, there are things that I have to do that are most joyous. On February 22nd, 2024, the Chandler Men of Action is hosting the annual African American Banquet. And this year, I would like to announce that our First Responder Award is to retired Chief Sean Duggan, better known as Dougie Fresh from now on. It's in here. It's in the Bible. We'd like to thank Chief Duggan for the work he's done the entire time that he has been with the city of Chandler. We thank him for the things that he's done and the many times that he has answered questions, protested with those whom need to be protested against, and observing the laws and doing the things that must be done for the city of Chandler. So we thank him in this way. So come out and congratulate Chief Duggan. Dougie Fresh.
Pastor Hardy, you said that. Oh, we can't interact with you. I'm sorry. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Our next unscheduled public appearance is from Ankit Sora. Mr. Sora, please come up, state your name and address. And as I neglected to say, we hear your comments, although we cannot interact with you as this is unscheduled public appearance. You have up to 3 minutes, sir.
Yeah, 850 West Oriole Bay. So I'll go ahead and first, on the eve of Veterans Day, firstly, I would like to thank everyone for their service for making this great nation what it is today, and extend that gratitude to the council elders as well as the stewards of this community institution. Thank you for your service. So in addition, that but the work that you all do drives civic pride and a sense of civic duty in us. So that's great. So that's what it is. And when I came across what our state is currently doing with advanced water purification roadmap, it inspires me because they are looking ahead. They are looking ahead to the state water scarcity as a critical issue that is going to be faced by future generations. So I'm very appreciative of what the work is going over there. And especially, I like the principle of protecting public health and the environment that they emphasize on. And some of the mentions about chemical pollutions that they want to monitor, investigate, and track is amazing and very beautiful. And I'm very appreciative of the work that is going on over there. So my intent over here to come is to basically learn what Chandler City's vision and roadmap is for water security. And how do we as citizens engage and contribute to that body of work? And having said that, I will share my own personal motivation and my initial contribution to that body of work. Having some background in public health and being part of having been part of healthcare industry, oh, I like tier 2 chemicals being monitored, investigated. Please do that, because it's needed. Though I do understand there can be cost associated with it. There will be definitely costs associated to govern such a system, and that is where I want to give you hope. There is emerging technologies, AI, making huge progress and huge strides that gives us an opportunity to innovate. It gives us an opportunity to encourage public participation for public work using these technology to even bring down cost and make Chandler an outstanding example for all of us to follow. And just to add to that, Chandler City takes pride in its accreditation from American Public Works Association. Uh, I'm really happy about that. So why can't we be first in innovating our competition, Phoenix City, right now with a $1 billion plan that they are building for 2030, and put some funds towards those kind of those towards those kind of innovation through public participation and public engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. City manager, can you make sure that we connect and maybe cross, have a conversation about what we are doing, what do we hope to do, et cetera, with Mr. Sora?
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Council, next on and last on our agenda is current events, of which I'll start. Got a few things I'd like to share. On this Sunday, the Chandler Symphony Orchestra is presenting Cheers to Youth at the Chandler Center of the Arts on the 12th at 3 p.m. For more information, you can visit chandlercenter.org for details. This event includes musical performances, a whimsy of Midsummer Night's Dream Overture, and Peter and the Wolf with a special narrator, me. So that'll be happening Sunday, and it's a timeless story of bravery, innovation, friendship, and treating a wolf humanely, come to think of it, in the context tonight. All right. Next, we have our Chandler Chuck Wagon Cook-Off, was returning to the Tumbleweed Ranch at Tumbleweed Park on November 11th. This starts at noon. I think many council members and other civic leaders will be cook-off judges a little bit earlier. So you will have the opportunity to experience Western history as authentic chuck wagon teams use historic cooking methods to create the best 5-course meals from the original food trucks. And if you're interested in purchasing a plate of food, you can do that at visit chandleraz.gov/events for tickets. Next, our second annual Veterans Celebration at Veterans Oasis Park will be presented by Veterans and Military Affairs Commission on November 11th. The celebration starts at 4:30 p.m. with a concert in the park to follow. Join myself and council as we recognize Chandler veterans for their present and past military service. And similarly, there's a concert that will be there, but following up at our Center for the Arts, the U.S. Army Jazz Ambassadors will host a free concert on Veterans Day at 7:30 p.m. at the Center for the Arts. And this video integrated patriotic concert will celebrate the military service through music and storytelling. I've timed it. We can attend both events, Council, if you care to join me on the second one as well. Speaking of timing at events, let's talk about the Parade of Lights and Tumbleweed Tree Lighting. It's going to be happening December 2nd, beginning at 4:30 p.m. Our Chandler holiday tradition will feature performances, a parade through downtown, and much anticipated lighting of the tumbleweed tree. And we are all believing, hoping, and praying for no rain cancellations this year. Again, you can find more information on this at chandleraz.gov/tumbleweed tree for details. And lastly, for me, I want to thank each and every one of you, Council, and our community for giving me so many reasons to be thankful. As we celebrate Thanksgiving, and this is our last meeting before that holiday, I wish our residents, businesses, and Council a very happy Thanksgiving. And from Leah, let me know what happens with that backyard turkey. Okay. Councilmember Encinas.
Okay, this is the most announcements I've had, guys, so buckle up. No, I'm just joking. Okay, so community engagement is extremely important to me, so I really needed to highlight this fantastic event that we had here between the Chandler Police Department and the San Marcos Elementary School here. Big shout out to Chandler PD and Detective Eva Zermeno, who really put forward the effort in getting this entire community together. I was speaking with the principal. I was there. Fellow council members were there as well. The turnout was amazing. It was packed. The cafeteria was packed. They had all kinds of dancers, treats. They brought in car shows. It was a fantastic event. So I want to thank them for making that connection with our students and our neighbors, and look forward to the next one next year. My next announcement is going to be about Chandler Pride. This Monday, Mayor, you gave the proclamation for declaring Pride Month here in Chandler. So I just wanted to invite everyone out to the actual Pride events that's going to be taking place at Desert Breeze Park on November 18th from 3 to 8 p.m. Come join some fun. There'll be some food trucks, music, games, and I believe a fashion show as well too. So see you guys out there on the 18th. And lastly, I just want to highlight an event yesterday with the Assistance League and with the Chandler Compadres. They were dropping off some donations at San Marcos Elementary School. Obviously, school supplies goes quick with the kids, so it was great for them to put together another supply drive and deliver some supplies to the kids this fall. Is it fall? Yes. Yeah, this fall. Yes. So thank you to them. And that's all my comments now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, between the two of you, I have nothing to say because you took all the announcement. When they called me, I said there was nothing left. So thank you so much for making all the announcement. Kingston, yeah, Kingston is happening on Friday, the 17th. We are doing our luncheon again, and I think we just sent our invitation to Mayor and Council. I would love to see you there. We're gonna have music and some good food. It's Thanksgiving at Kingston for our seniors. Please join us.
Tell our community what it is.
Well, it is a great thing that we started with Miss Leah Powell over there. She got me into that 8 years ago. We started making a great, elaborate, very nice Thanksgiving luncheon and also Christmas for our seniors over at Kingston, which is the only senior apartment that we have here in the city of Chandler that we manage. So they love that, and every year we've been doing that for 8 years now. So it's going to be great. It's in honor of my mom, who at one point had lived in those apartments when she first moved here to Arizona. So I'm very proud to be here and helping the other residents that are living there now. So can't wait for us to have a bigger venue where we can invite the whole community to come every year to have time with us. Good food. It's going to be lots of food and lots of fun. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Councilmember Stewart.
Councilmember Ellis, that is one of the nicest days that you've ever invited me to be a part of, that event with those people. So thank you very much. Hey, November 18th is Wolfstock. So the irony of this meeting and that coming and coinciding. So our pet lovers, you should come out from 9 to 1 on the 18th on Saturday and spend some time hanging out with all the dogs in the neighborhood. And there'll be a canine. Our police department will do some canine demonstrations. There'll be a dog training elite demonstrations, and then dog-friendly bubbles at the mini dog park. If you've not seen that before, it's a riot. So anyway, be out to Wolfstock on November 18th from 9 to 1. Thank you.
Councilmember Harris.
Thank you. Today, I am going to take a point of personal privilege to talk about one of our outstanding residents that's doing something very amazing in the city of Chandler. And I'm super proud of him, and you will be as well as I share this announcement and who this wonderful person is. The Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall is a shining example, and it gives a commitment to those that are in leadership. It has an excellence, and they have a great compassion. And today we are honoring one of Chandler's own Chandler resident, Roy Tatum. If you could stand up, Mr. Roy Tatum. This past weekend, he received the Thurgood Marshall Award of Merit during the 19th anniversary Phoenix Educational Fund and Thurgood Marshall College Fund Brunch in Phoenix. Roy is a community leader, a community advocate, an entrepreneur, a political strategist, and who also represents the principles of justice, equality, and excellence. And his work that he continues to do, and we found him, keep it on him. But the work that he does, he attended the mental health walk not long ago. He continues to be a valuable add to our community, going far and beyond. And one thing about this particular award is not giving to everyone. So it's just a very small, they only do about a couple in the whole entire state of Arizona. And within the nation is very, very small. So this is like really one of the highest honors that one can achieve when you talk about community engagement, when you talk about being a leader, when you talk about someone that is doing the work day in, day out. I really wanted to take time to recognize our very own Chandler resident, Roy Tatum. We can all give him a big round of applause. Thank you, and I would invite Mr. Roy Tatum after these announcements is over to come up and take a picture with the council, with those that would like to take a picture with him to recognize him. And I hope our staff will be able to post that on our council news feed, please. So my last announcement is this past weekend we also had the Ready Set Go Foundation Mental Health and Awareness Walk. It was a great success. We had 502 people registered to participate. And so we want to thank you to our presenting sponsor, Amazon, and all who came out to raise awareness about mental health and learn more about resources. Oh, there goes Roy in that picture too. There he is. I'm telling you, he's everywhere. You're everywhere. But really, it was a good walk. Ready Set Go Foundation is a great organization that supports mental health as well as supporting entrepreneurs. What a great time to really just enjoy. Much of the feedback I got, they say, "Hey, we went to the mental health walk. We felt better after the mental health walk." That's what it's all about. And Chandler has made the largest investment in mental health that we've ever have made in our history, and that's getting the job done. So I want to say thank you to the mayor and the council, because without their support, that would not happen. So thank you guys so much. And lastly, happy Veterans Day. Ryan back there in the back is a veteran. Matt Orlando, our vice mayor, he's a veteran. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. Is there any other veterans in the room? Wave your hand. Okay. Oh, yes. Oh, Pastor Hardy. Oh, man. Thank you. Thank you for your service. As I tell my wife, I'm going to eat everywhere they're going to allow me to eat for free. It's not a day I'm paying for your meal. It's a day I'm getting a meal paid for me for my service. And so there's a lot of events going on, so make sure you guys attend. And lastly, happy Thanksgiving to all my friends, family, and my Chandler constituents. Thank you.
That was a good preacher. 3 Lasleys.
I get poetic in the heat.
I'm never even sure if I should go after Councilmember Harris. I do have a couple of things though. Mine are kind of fun, and you know, I get to marry two of my favorite things. But I was able to participate in the Mayor's Golf Challenge. And I didn't see you out there, Mayor. So, you know, we're going to get you on a team
At a
next year.
conference.
But it was for the Mayor's Committee for People with Disabilities, and it was absolutely fantastic. And thank you, John, for allowing me to play. I put a little team together with my company, but this tournament raised nearly $15,000, which is fantastic. And a credit to the Mayor's Committee for People with Disabilities. It was an all volunteer event. They put that together. They did a great job. Those dollars are going to help a scholarship fund, and that's going to help people with disabilities get educational and vocational training. So that's absolutely fantastic. And then my other announcement is also golf related. So there is still a chance for Saturday, December 2nd. I'm putting together a ladies team myself for the Chandler Firefighter Charities. And if you don't know about this organization, you should. It is headed by our Chandler firefighters. It's really voluntary payroll deductions. They do some fundraising, but it raises money to go directly back to the community for people. And you know, our firefighters see the people at their very worst. And this started off with, I think, just kind of passing the boot and turned into something a little more formal. But correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe our firefighters are really the people that donate the most actually to the firefighter charities in terms of the donations that they actually raise. But this golf tournament should help increase the community's ability to have a little fun with it and have a chance to go play golf with some firefighters and raise money for something that really does just directly benefit the community. Absolutely no administrative costs. They just put the money right back into the community. So I think it's absolutely fantastic and encourage you to sign up. So the final thing I did want to say as a point of privilege, just like OD here, I am going to be at Woofstock, and I am just going to ask that if you see me there with a little cream colored menace, please forgive me. She's 6 months old. I'm working on it, and I'm bringing her to the right place. So I look forward to seeing everybody there with their dogs. I know we have a lot of dog lovers here. So thank you, Mayor.
I have a 12-year-old grumpy old dog who doesn't like to go to those events, so I don't bring her. So.
I'm trying unsuccessfully, but
I got my Yorkies. They ready for action.
City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Just want to take a moment. A few weeks ago at the end of October, we had For Our City Day, which occurred since we had our last council meeting. And just wanted to take a moment to thank the two members of our staff who led a much bigger committee in planning this great event. Priscilla Quintana and Tana Maurer, who I don't think are here tonight, but they did an outstanding job putting together that event, and I want to thank them publicly for that, as well as also recognize that we had about 1,200 volunteers, as some of you have heard earlier this week. About 184 of those were actually members of our Team Chandler staff, and we've been encouraging them to participate in this event more and more over the years. So I want to thank everybody that was a part of that very special day. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Well, Council, again, happy Thanksgiving. Micah, you look good on camera when you don't want to be, and concludes our meeting.